Good morning, this is Dr. Justina Agnieszka Chevalier. I'm an author of book Predators Want to Love Not Kill in Nature, and that book contains progressive steps presented as form of self-help book that can become also implemented in detention centers and jails and correctional facilities as form of resocialization for persons who, in the context of confusion of pursuit of a mating partner, committed crimes on persons who impeded a formation of a family unit, which is marriage, or committed crimes in context of confusion that consist of assumption of physical body of own being less important than the physical body of the person that is loved, and instead of pursuit of sexual activity, pursue that person the same as in nature. The predator pursues especially domesticated animals to consume them after killing or wear them, or to mark them in imprints of hunted animal or animal by humans kept for slaughter, and that considered by that person superior in closeness, becoming one in physical body, is because of dismissal of sexual activity as impure or unwanted, especially promoted by religion, and pursuit of that person to the closeness, skipping sexual activity that is derived from non-satisfactory annihilation of body that cannot later on be on primal instinct pursuit to have children, and to express usually long term an assumption that they were rejected. My book starts with a chapter based on observation of animals that I have made during my trip. I went across 49 states in the United States and spent significant amount in the desert and in forest, to explain that humans, we behave the same way as animals when it comes to alignment to preferred, yielded by nature, opposite gender partner, and that those processes are yielded by ecosystem and non-conscious for a very long time. What in legal system is called being a copycat, and pursued with interrogations to admissions of replication of dress code, of habits and custom of a person, of ways of speech and ways of expressing self, pursuit of the same location, and pursuit of observation, pursuit as well of assumption of same tone of voice, or sometimes gender specific characteristics of that person, that we often in legal system in interrogations intend to form as an accusation of intentionality, and that is to the natural state false. It is false and admitted as true because of cult of evil. Person who is pressured tries to impress peers or familiars or persons that are lookalikes of a female, because that applies actually only to male, except for circumstances in which the pursuit is to heal, liberate from some trapping, or have a male actually empowered to become alpha male, again assumption of the pursuer by females and by males equally. That as a premise is used by life and rescue, firemen, police, as well as medical emergency medicine, that non-confused also consists of a sexual pursuit prioritized to first give attention in greatest concern and drive to assist to a person who is most suitable by a judgment of self to become parent in sexual activity of own children, and later on of own children and family members of that person and own. And then in second degree of persons who are related to that person. In nature, however, that phenomenon in animal world, because professions in nature in animal world are intrinsically associated with urge to pursue food, water, and shelter, as well as children as luxury when such is obtained. In couples, so pursuit is when that can become a family unit, or individually when that is not customary and persons form a predator like behavior that consists of pursuit of food, water, and shelter prior to mating and nesting prior to invitation of a person that humans also follow. It is in this regard of actually pursuit of meat. And that is important to realize that meat in also nature is an ultimate solution when there is no other, and provided food and water and shelter, wolf or hyena actually ceases to kill, which dog is an example of, or cat, domesticated one. And the same is with humans. Same applies to humans, and we need to realize that in legal system and for the purposes also of mental health, there's no person that is irremediably bad, and such declarations are false. And also pursuit of such declarations is in that person's assumption declared to authorities or detective interrogator false. A person tries to evoke admiration, to be promoted as ideal partner for the person that person pursued. And if there were persons who rejected that person, that person harmed in a way of pursuing ideal partner, then that is presented as proof of fidelity. And so first, in my first chapter, I've described and want to iterate it in this video, what is natural state and how to interpret that behavior, and when that person is confronted, because that happens to all men and women, human ones as well as animals, in similar way, when that becomes conscious, and then rational decisions on continuation versus on pursuit of individuality, depending on the light in spotted mirroring and similarities in self and in the other person, the opposite gender person, mutual one, that consists of initial infatuation to pursue a relationship versus frank rejection and being appalled, and change of places, change of dress code, and change that to modify what occurred naturally to pursue someone who actually is pleased with behavior as material for looks, for DNA of future child, or pleased with skills and other characteristics of that person to pursue as a common goal, basic needs, and thriving as a couple. That conscious decision is based again on response of delight, and none wants to be unloved or matched inappropriately. Assumption that that pursuit continues, and limitation of persons, it then results in elimination of those persons labeled as victims, which originally are simply females pursued to marry or to form family union, becomes motivator to commit crimes, to not to be accused, harassed, or limited in own capacity, or in labeled as already binded to a person and limited in pursuit of other persons. Let's first concentrate on how it looks like in nature. In nature, first stage of alignment for purpose of forming lasting loving attachment consists of non-conscious alignment in bodily functions to share space. Persons crave in couples same type of food, same water, search for in geographical locations same spaces to provide such for selves. in presence of lack of knowledge or familiarity with one another, and that is at the beginning non-consciated to one another and happens for two in couples. Persons find what is called sometimes synchronous appearance, that they appear in same place or in same hours, have pre-existing same interests or pre-existing same life goals, and that this continues until the persons are confronted with answering the question: do we form part of social group that pursues same habits as a group, or are we willing to become a couple? The second stage, if that is the case, is consisted in feedback of delight. If a person, especially male, notes that the female unconsciously chose the same dress code pattern, or pursues, for instance, in a shop, the grasping the same type of food, approaches usually and observes for her, noticing by remarks on similarities, her response, hoping for delight and being by that female perceived as flattering. If he wants to recognize her, then that is expressed when marriage occurs in a pursuit of the same last name, for instance. And so that is what nature does, and delight in feedback. For instance, you use the same vocabulary as I, such notes as an example, brings delight and smile, and is then second stage source of mirroring. Mirroring consists of testing if conscious, a purposeful effort of wearing same clothes, mimicking same behavior, or assuming identifiers of that person as own in display for that person, will bring in that person a conscientiousation of being pursued to become a couple, and delight from such fact that is then perceived as initial stage or hope for lasting loving attachment sexual relationship. So mirroring consists of testing again if that person will rejoice in becoming a couple as potential. If such is the case and such exchange happens, persons then acquire self-confidence, which is denominated as pursuit or sexual drive, and that role is assumed by male in pursuit of one specific female, as opposed to all others. Pursuit consists of approaching declaration of as close to reality and as possible as capacities of that man allow, declaration of love that is superior to all others towards that female, and declaration of that love as being sexual in hopes of reciprocity and cessation of other relationships, and becoming dependent voluntarily, which is denominated sexual surrender in its also corresponding physiological changes to sexual pursuit or display in many tribes, also in animals, presented as extension of all power in goodness to be impressive, meaning beauty, extension of work achievements, extension of also dances and bouts of energy of that male to impress that female, to cause surrender that consists of relaxation, search of nest, and waiting for that man to approach for sexual activity in hopes of being approached and pursued, to form in trust lasting relationship in which in such state that the man provides for that female to enable it. That is divided into two. In case that initiation became apparent for the two as formation of a family, the pursuit sometimes for that man and for that female consists of pursuit to heal or to empower men to primal pursuit of the female or to liberate from trapping, and such is also for a